All right, good morning, everybody. It's time to get started. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. Always a wonderful morning when we're together. I'm Sarah Benson, and we're going to start with a couple of songs. If I invite you to stand if you'd like, or not. And yeah, let's get this going this morning. You guys can stand up and sing loud. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. You are my reflection. There is only one.
Good morning, CSL family. Is that close enough? Hello? Is that better? All right. Good morning, CSL family. My name's Teresa Valenzuela, and I'm a practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. And our vision is a world in loving partnership for the good of all. Welcome to anyone visiting for the first time. Please help yourself to a packet of information. The packets are at either door, either exits. Be sure to look inside. There's a gift certificate to our wonderful bookstore. And fill out the front form with an email if you'd like to be on our newsletter list. Ooh, be sure to read the newsletter. uppercase letters. So get on the email list. You'll get a newsletter each week, and you'll find out what's going on here. Some of you know I'm a retired teacher. So here comes the instructions for this morning. Are you ready?
Yes, it's better to say.
Some of you are in the book study group with me. I know sometimes instructions aren't followed. Ooh, okay. As you came in, you were given this 3x5 card. If you don't have one, raise your hand. Our lovely Carrie from our board is handing them out. Take some time to contemplate a question you would like to ask our beloved Reverend Bonnie to address this morning. We will post some examples on the screen. Zoom folks, are there Zoom folks this morning already? Good morning. Can put their questions in the chat, and Bob will jot them down and give them to me, Teresa. When we collect them, you have until after song, silence, and prayer. But no, don't worry, there's no pressure. If your question comes to you after song, silence, and prayer, we will not leave you out. So you know what to do with this, right? Okay. Thanks to all who attended our town hall meeting. We received lots of great ideas. See clipboards in social hall if any of these ideas catch your eye and you would like to help see it materialize. Please sign up. So tithing is not just our treasure, our financial help, right? But it's also our talent and our time. So you can sign up on those clipboards right outside the door. Our next potluck will be November 19th, and our next town hall will be January 21st, 2024. Oh my goodness. Okay. If you helped with our treasure sale yesterday, and you are here this morning and not home recuperating from a long month of getting ready, can you stand up, please?
Come on, ladies over there. Stand.
What about you? Yeah. So this is just a small portion of the people that put together the treasure sale, and I should not be standing. I did come to make sure I didn't lose anything, but it was a great success. Our financial gift from that treasure sale so far is $1,700. And I can't even imagine what the amount of hours that were put into that would be, because that, once again, right, our talent and our time is also part of the tithes that we give to this beautiful center. So, thank you. And we left a sign outside this morning, and that people were still coming in looking for the treasure cells. So those signs do work. So we have a class scheduled to begin November 11th, and it's Journey of the Soul, and I am willing to facilitate it. But this is the little crux of that. I'd love to have 6 people signed up so the class will make. Okay? I don't know why the magic number of 6 came into my heart. It's also just for a 6-week term. Oh, maybe that's where the number 6 came from. But anyway, I need to know by Saturday if you're interested, to see if there are 6 people who would like to join us on this journey. And the sign-up is also in the social hall. Saturday is the magic day, so I can order books so they can be here by the 11th. So do not hesitate. If you're thinking about it, just go for it. And so now, next announcement, Deb Taylor Russell is coordinating a craft and bake sidewalk sale on Saturday, November 18th. We will be gratefully receiving any crafts or baked goods you would like to donate to the center for this sale. More information will be coming, but if you are crafty and want to start making things, this would be fantastic. So I am embroidering tea towels and plan to make bizcochos for that Saturday. So let's come together as one community. Oh, yes. Okay. Do you remember about a month ago we had a big red trash can up here? And we filled it already twice with food for the Juvenile Probation Office Family Food Pantry. It's almost filled up for a 3rd time. And Tuesday, will be the last day we're collecting for October. So please, let's see if we can, there's just a little bit of space left. Let's see if we can, do it 3 times full of food. There's a list of things that they've asked for, but I know they would be grateful for anything, any way that we can support the families whose children are in the probation system. And in November, we will team up with the New Mexico Southwest Regional Alzheimer's again for Christmas card signing and other items. More to come. Thank you for all your help. The community loves us, as we love our community. We believe in the power of prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. Please fill out a prayer request, which can be found in pockets on the chair backs. There is a God can in the back where you can put your prayer requests or drop it in the offering plate on the tables as you leave the sanctuary. Or you can still use our prayer request button on our website. Our prayer team, made up of practitioners and ministers from the 4 local New Thought communities, will pray with you in regard to your request. We'll pray with you in regards to your request. In addition, should you have something you would like a quick prayer treatment for after the service, the practitioners wearing stoles will be around the room to provide this service for you. And there's a gratitude card in the chair backs as well. On Tuesdays when we meet, we also share the gratitude, the manifestation of prayers that you share with us. So we would love to hear, how is this philosophy working in your life? And now it is time for song, silence, and prayer. What to consider.
Oh, okay. We will do it now.
Okay, so there you go. You don't have to put the little question marks around it, but there are some ideas for your questions.
It doesn't say? Yeah. Okay.
I did this part. There you go. A question about science of mind, religious science, and what we teach or believe. A question about this center or the Centers for Spiritual Living. How many of you know we have a home office that's global? We have centers around the globe, 2,400 licensed practitioners, and I don't know how many ministers, but a lot. And a question about how to apply one of the principles that we teach, how to apply those principles in your life. So those are some of the examples for your questions. Is anything else? Okay. And I will collect them after reading. Everyone has a card, right?
I can't write and play at the same time, but thank you.
Okay. Now it is time for song, silence, and prayer.
Okay.
I am born from the strength of love. I am born from the strength of love. All that I am today, all that I bring today, I know that it is enough. Oh, I am born from the strength of love. I am breathing the strength of love. I am breathing the strength of love. Now in this holy place, every thought is a prayer. May we be lifted up. Oh, I am breathing the strength of love. I am blessing the strength of love. sending it forth today, sending it on its way out to the hills above. Oh, I am blessing, blessing the strength of love, born from the strength of love, breathing the strength of love. And so I invite you to join me in this moment, stepping into and ground yourself into that space and place of gratitude. Breathing that in and breathing that out. And so what I absolutely know is that there is one divine creative mind, Spirit, God, the oneness filled and outfilled with infinite possibilities. That which each one of us here and in the world today, we are the channels of all of that infinite love, justice, kindness, joy, compassion, abundance, prosperity. Just breathing that in and settling into this morning. That oneness, that community that brings us together here this morning into this room, into Zoom, and throughout the week on YouTube and other manners of media. What a world we live in today. And each one of us, we are a part of. And we come together to be that difference, to be that tipping point of justice, peace, and love, beginning within our hearts and radiating out into our community, into our world, out into the ultimate, limitless universe. The power of coming together as community. And so knowing that it's already done, it's already perfect, and we are here, we are love, and we work our life through law. Releasing, saying thank you, and together saying, and so it is. Oops. Today's reading, we're still delving into the edges of that idea of paradox, and today's reading is from the Amsterdam Marketing Student blog. According to Douglas Adams' book, The Answer to All the Ultimate Questions of Life, the Universe, and Everything Else is simply 42. Unfortunately, reality isn't so uncomplicated. Many experts have compiled a significant research on how the universe began, how it works, and what it is. It appears to be a never-ending story. The more we learn about the universe, the more questions arise. Experts such as Albert Einstein, quote, "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know." And Socrates, quote, "I know that I know nothing," have pointed this out. There is one thing we do know. Our world is getting more complicated all the time. As recently as the 20th century,
people only had a black and white television with 1 or 2 senders. There are now over 100 senders you can choose from, not to mention all the additional options like cable, TV, HD, Netflix, cinemas, and many, many more. Between black and white, there are now over 50 shades of gray and billions of different colors, literally for television, but also figuratively for life in general. As the world around us becomes more complex, the amount that we can really understand about it decreases. Even experts agree on knowing too little. It's no surprise that information overload gives millennials stress and difficulty to make decisions. Choice overload. The only thing that is constant is change, and as stated by the Greek philosopher Heraclitus, as the world is getting more complex, more black boxes, which are aspects we don't understand, will arise. This keeps us going in a visual circle. It doesn't make us any wiser, since what we see as a fact today can be seen as an extreme mistake tomorrow. Experts are just as human as us, and guess what? Humans make errors. The lesson I would like to give the readers is to think for yourself and be your own expert in life. In a time of drastic change, it is the learners who inherit the future. Not only do companies adapt or die, but people should as well. Learning isn't part of life. Learning is life. And Ernest Holmes, on page 133 in Science of Mind, reminds us, to learn how to think is to learn how to live. And so it is. Before we go to music, if your questions are ready, if you'll pass them to the end of your row, and I'll come around and pick them up. And thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, this pen does not work.
Okay, that was not done on
Oh,
purpose.
thank you. I'm sure it wasn't.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. I'm almost done. All right. The song I chose, I actually chose this earlier in the week before I saw Reverend Bonnie's sermon or message title. I think I'm a little done with the whole paradox thing. It's kind of made my head explode. So this song is called I Always Know What I Need to Know. It's by, thank you, Karen Taylor Good. I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. And every time I forget that's so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. How does the mighty oak tree face the changes autumn brings? He doesn't worry if he'll grow new leaves when it is spring. Let me be that trusting, let me let go, and know the buds are on their way, though I'm naked in the snow. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. And every time I forget that's so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. How does the tiny robin feel when she finally leaves the nest? She takes a giant leap of faith and lets nature do the rest. Let me be that faithful, let me dare to fly. Though my wings are frail, they will not fail. There's a simple reason why. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. But every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. There's a power in the universe greater than just me, and it works a million miracles when I let it be. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Yes, I always know what I need to know when I need to know it.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. I'm going to affirm that.
Absolutely.
for moving forward here this morning. Good morning. I'm Reverend Bonnie, the community spiritual leader here at the center, for those of you who might not know that. So this month we've been playing with this idea of paradox. And as Sarah said, she's already kind of gotten a headache from it all. I think we've spent a lot of time the last 4 Sundays giving ourselves a lot to think about. Some people have told me they've had to listen to the talks a couple times over just to kind of figure out what we were doing and what we were saying. And I think even over our lifetime, we've learned a lot. You all out in that room have learned a lot, have you not, throughout your lifetime? Yeah. Amen. There's a lot. And so, like our reading says, what that does is plop us right down in the middle of that paradox that says the more you know you don't know. And would you agree with that as well? Yeah. So what that does for me, though, is I actually love learning. It's one of those things that just energizes me and it excites me. I love reading new things, learning new things, contemplating new ideas. I just get super excited about learning. When I graduated from college, I ended up in a nursing home as an activity director for 3 years. And that was one of my most favorite jobs ever. I had so much fun because my job was to play with folks that lived there. And one of my philosophies, one of the things I believed, and I was, in my 20s back then, was that as long as you were alive, you had the opportunity to learn. And so a lot of the people in the nursing home where I worked had grown up on farms and didn't go past like the 8th grade. And so I brought in the community college, and they brought little classes into the nursing home. We'd gather in my office. I had a big room, and we would have classes in there, and they get certificates when they completed the classes. And they were so proud to put those certificates on the wall because they'd been to college. Yeah, and I would bring in movies about ideas, documentaries, things to stretch their thinking, ideas that some of them had never heard of. I wanted to bring the Tama Indians in once, and I was told, they were told as children if they didn't behave, their parents were going to sell them to the Indians. So they were terrified. So this was a huge stretch to have Indians in the room with them. Yeah, so I was constantly trying to figure out ways to expand their knowledge, to help them learn more, because I really, really believe that as long as we're alive, we can learn. We have that opportunity. And the more that we learn as we continue throughout life, the more it keeps us alive, like that reading from Ernest Holmes. So to me, it's really important that we keep learning no matter what, even though the more we learn, the more we know we don't know. Ernest Holmes said, if one would know God, he must penetrate penetrate deeply into his own nature, for here alone can he find God. If he would reveal God to his fellow man, he must do so by living such a godlike life that the divine essence flows through him to others. The only way to know God is to be like God. And while this may seem discouraging in our present state of evolution, we should remember that we have but started on an eternal ladder that ever spirals upward. And what that says to me, Ernest Holmes mentions that twice. He mentions the spiraling upward in this book, also in the section around death, and the idea that our soul ever spirals upward. And I've always thought that, what do I take? If I take anything after I die, which I don't have a set belief 100%, but my thought has been, if anything goes with me, it's what I've learned. It's what I've thought about. It's the love that I've had. It's not my house if it's clean enough. It's not if I own the right car or even lived in the right place or even got that degree. But it was more about my interactions with people and what I had learned as I walked on this planet. I figured if we're spiraling upward, that learning continues. And so I don't want to cut it short by saying, well, I'm 65, I'm done. I don't have to learn anything anymore. I don't think we can stop learning, really. You're laughing because some of you are a little older than me, and you're still learning, right? Are we not? So what better day than today, as I'm looking at this paradox of the more that we know, the more we know that we don't know. I thought this would be the perfect day to stump the minister. This is something that I learned from Reverend Patrick at the Albuquerque Center. We used to go out into the mountains one Sunday in the summer, and he would pass out cards and just answer questions sitting out on the rocks in the mountains. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. It's a good way to sort of test what I know, but I'm going to pull you all in too and see if I can't answer it, maybe one of you can answer the question. The other thing that I always say is that if I can't answer it now, like if there's some statistics or numbers I need, like Teresa gave us how many practitioners are around the world, thank you, I might have to bring that answer back to you at another Sunday down the line. So we'll see as far as we can get with these. So, can I talk about the science of mind? Sure, I could talk about that for a long time. So let's see what else is here. My understanding is that New Thought was originally a philosophy, not a religion. Can you please explain? So I'll start there, because that's true. New Thought in general and Science of Mind, which was started by Ernest Holmes, was started as a philosophy, as a way of life. Ernest Holmes didn't even want to start churches. It were the people that were around him wanted to gather in community. And the way that people were doing that was what looks like church. So that's kind of why we look like church, even though we call ourselves a center for spiritual living. He was all about the teaching. And so maybe you don't know that as a community grows or wants to start something, what we call a work in that community, they start often as a book study, as a small group, a teaching chapter, they might call that. So we sit around, you can have a practitioner lead it, you can have a layperson who just wants to get something going. They sit around and they read the Science of Mind, they discuss it, they read from the magazine and discuss it. And then as you hit 25 people in that group, you can apply to then be a center. But a center does require a minister. So that's the other thing. You have to be at a point where you're ready to hire a minister and move into that level of calling yourself a center. And there are some teaching chapters that never do that. As the regional support coordinator, which I happen to be for Region 6, which is, oh gosh, several of us here, Arizona, all the way up to Idaho, I believe. Utah, yeah. There is one place in Taos, actually, that's still a teaching chapter, and they've been a teaching chapter, I think, for 13 years. That's just what they choose to do, and that's how they consider themselves. So the idea was to teach this, to teach each other, and Ernest Holmes saw this as something that could be overlaid on whatever religion you chose to have. So in the United States, we have these churches that have been created, or centers for spiritual living. But in other parts of the world where there are state or countrywide churches. So like in Latin America, the main church is Catholic. So you'll have people meeting on Wednesday nights for talking about this and the philosophy who might still go to the Catholic church on Sunday. In Germany, there's only 2 churches that are legal, that are allowed, and taxes, you can choose on your taxes which one you're going to support. So I spoke to a woman there when I traveled there several years ago who was friends with Peggy Bassett, who was one of the big name ministers in our movement here in the United States. And she took the philosophy back to Germany, again, as a philosophy. And she talked about it on a radio show. And she did not, you couldn't start a church, but she could have classes and teach some of our classes. And again, they then take that philosophy and apply it to whatever church they're choosing to attend. So that was the initial, I think, intent. Holmes wasn't trying to take us away from our home churches. That was something that people on their own chose to do and start these centers. But he was just seeing it as a way to augment what it is you already believed. Hopefully that helped a little there. Yes?
Does a person know when he or she is ready for a ministry?
How does a person themselves know when they're ready for a ministry? Well, to be a minister, well, things keep changing. The strain, let's say that when I became a minister, in order to be a minister, you had to already be a practitioner. And you also already had to have your BA. And then you could go to the Holmes Institute, and that's a master's program. And that's like seminary, and you graduate from that, and then you have 2 years of being out in the field, supervised by another minister, at which point then you can sit for your ordination, and then you become an actual minister. So that was my path. There are other paths now that are open. There's chaplaincy. There's a shorter version of that, which doesn't require the BA first. So I am not up on all of the different ways because I feel like, you know, if you want to get into it, if I tell you today what that is, tomorrow they could change. It's an evolving process. Because again, one of the things Ernest Holmes taught us is to stay open at the top. And we were finding fewer and fewer people wanting to go through that path and people still feeling the call to ministry. So they started different ways that people could answer that call. And when I talk about a call to ministry, how did you know what was your call as a teacher? Your call to whatever it is that you chose to do in life. You felt the draw, right? Right. So whatever that is, a minister has that same pull. You know, I started wanting to be a minister when I was in 9th grade. I was told that women are not ministers. And so I had to let them know, well, this one was going to be. My first year of college was the first year that an Episcopal woman was ordained. Yeah, 1976. So then that said to me, see, we can. And I just kept plowing forward. Then finding this teaching, realizing that women have been part of the New Thought movement from the beginning. In fact, some of our teachers, early teachers, like Emma Curtis Hopkins, and even I would include Mary Baker Eddy, were women. So I felt like I'd come home when I found this. Okay, how this came about. Okay. If New Thought changed as a result, oh, there's an over here. What other religions or philosophies do you think are closest to New Thought? Well, there's a lot under the umbrella of New Thought. So we know about unity. We share the building with unity. And then there's divine science. And I consider Joel Goldsmith and Infinite Way a New Thought, part of the New Thought movement. Even the Unitarians are part of our roots. You know, there's a lot of that. Spiritualist teaching is part of our roots as well. And Christian Science, you know, that was Mary Baker Eddy. What my take on it, so this is me, this is not written in any book, I don't think, but my take on it is this movement started before the internet. So right now we have the internet and we can tap into all these different teachers all over the world. But back then, people would travel and speak in communities. Like Ernest Holmes studied Troward as well. He was a New Thought person. Emerson and what Emerson was writing. So you would get these speakers that would travel around, and some people studied under some of them. So Emma Curtis Hopkins is somebody that the Fillmores, who started Unity, studied under. Ernest Holmes was one of her last students, way at the end of her life. So we consider her the teacher of teachers. So then they go back to their home. And so you've got Unity in Kansas City. You had Ernest Holmes in California, southern, sort of mid to southern California. And then it's like language is the way I see it. You know, we can tell when someone's from the South. We can tell if they're from New York or Boston or California. That flavor of the teaching grows in its own way, even though it's still all related and it's basically the same principles. Does that make sense? Yeah. So today things are a little broader. You know, we can tap in. In fact, when I went to Scotland, I was like, well, is it as hard for you all to understand me as it is for me to understand you? And they're like, no, I can understand you perfectly. Well, I realized when I started watching their television that they're watching our shows. So they're watching Friends, they're watching all these sitcoms from here. So they're hearing our language. I don't hear the Scottish dialect. So I didn't understand it as well. So again, we have access now to all these different philosophies that we didn't have before the internet. And so it sort of grew with its own personality is the way I look at it. Okay, so that's also speaking to science of mind. Boy, I should have said write it so I could read it. Why can't we talk a little more about Ernest's belief in following Jesus's teachings? To the New Testament at times. To a newcomer, it appears we worship Ernest, which I agree he was a deep thinker on God's wishes for us. I don't want us, to worship him or Jesus. Okay, I got it. So, and that's a good point, and I'm glad you mentioned that, whoever wrote that. I don't think Ernest Holmes wants us worshiping him. And I didn't believe, even before I discovered New Thought, that Jesus wanted us worshiping him. In fact, my background was studying Christianity first. And at one point, Jesus told Peter, "Get behind me, Satan," when he was trying to tell Jesus he thought he was the same as God. Now, we do believe we're a God expressing, and we see that as something modeled by Jesus. He said, you know, it's the Father in me that doeth the work. So, but I don't think Jesus wanted us to focus on him. He wanted us to see the works and focus on how they were done through him. And I think the same in terms of any of our teachers, whether it's the Fillmores or Ernest Holmes. They don't want us, you know, we're not, he said, stay open at the top, keep learning, keep studying, keep reading. I'm not the be all end all. And so, yes, if it sounds like that, it should, I'm sorry. we don't want it to, but at the same time, we do call ourselves Centers for Spiritual Living, and our founder is Ernest Holmes. That's who started Science of Mind. And so part of what I was taught was at least one reading by Ernest Holmes, preferably 3 every Sunday. And then you can pull in other stuff, but just to keep that idea, that philosophy in there. But I don't think at all that he would want us to consider worshiping him. So the fact that his picture is in the back of the room, his picture used to be out in the social hall. And for me personally, that was a question, because I didn't want it to be about, I certainly didn't want it up here. Because he's one of our teachers, he's our founder, but he's not someone that we're worshiping in that way. So I didn't want to get rid of the picture. It's a great picture. We want to know who he is. But hopefully, any other questions on that? Hopefully that's a little clarity. Does that make sense? So Jesus itself, Ernest Holmes has a whole section in the back of the Science of Mind text, which is the main text that he wrote. And most of his writing, you'll see him quoting out of the New Testament a lot. He metaphysically interprets a lot of the teachings of Jesus in the back of this text. So again, I pull from those when I can. One of my favorites that he does is the prodigal son. There's a great interpretation, several pages devoted to interpreting that story in here. Again, it's a matter of not taking the Bible literally, it's looking at it metaphysically. What does it mean to us today? How do we get a teaching from this today? What was he trying to tell us in terms of how to live our life? What do the parables mean to us? It's not about a literal translation, because first of all, if you know anything about translating, what we're reading today in English has gone through a lot. And we need to study a lot more about the culture and the history and everything to fully understand what was written down, sometimes 300 years after the fact. So that's another thing to consider. So that was part of what I got to study in school. Again, that fascinates me. I love history, so that was my focus. Hopefully that answers that. What are some of the laws Ernest Holmes talks about? Okay, that's a good question, because when we say law, we often think about you have to stop at a red light kind of law. Ernest Holmes talks about spiritual laws, and those are like what we would call natural laws as well. So like the law of gravity, when science talks about a law. When I talked about the law of attraction, and then what happens if you have two positives, they repel, and a positive and negative pull together. Those kinds of natural laws, Ernest Holmes and the others in New Thought that are talking about the law are talking about spiritual laws that work in our lives. Like that, the law of attraction, or, give me some other ones, practitioners. The law of circulation. What you give, you receive, that idea of flow. So he's talking about the law working in that way, not necessarily like somebody wrote down what we have in Leviticus, where you've got those laws that were written down by humans that were needed to be followed. They're not talking about that kind of law. Law of cause and effect, yeah. Right, and there's not the punishment aspect that we hear in some. It's not like, again, sin is interpreted in terms of what it meant in the Aramaic, which was a mistake or you missed the mark. It was an archery term, which meant you've missed the mark. So it wasn't like the way we sort of think of it today, but it was more, well, you're trying, but you kind of missed, so let's just get back on track. There's not this idea that you're going to hell or you're being punished in any way. And that's actually part of what's in the Lord's Prayer, if you get another translation of that as well. This idea of what's above, so below, and that we're just, forgiving ourselves because we're already forgiven. So forgive us as you have forgiven us already. That idea that there isn't anything lorded over us or held over us. I don't know if that... Hopefully that answered that. If we need more, you can let me know if I didn't go in depth enough, and I can try and hit it later and put them in. How did Holmes perceive the higher self and the eternality of individual souls? When we think we know, we find out we don't know. No, I'm kidding. Ernest Holmes, when he's teaching, and again, this is all the New Thought across the board. I don't want to just make it all about Ernest Holmes, because you'll see this in all the New Thought teachers. There's an idea that we have spirit or soul or God moving through us. It's what gives us life. It's life with a capital L. If you read Ernest Holmes, there's a lot of words that are capitalized, and those words are all synonymous to what we would say was God, how we capitalize the word God. So there's life, there's love, there's peace, there's joy, there's reality, there's divine intelligence. All of those words are capitalized when he's talking about the source or God or spirit. All of that is used as capital. So those are what I would consider words that are guiding us to this idea of higher self, which would also be capitalized. It's the part of us that is God moving in and through us. He talks about, we all know we shed our bodies eventually. So what is the peace that is eternal? Is that soul, that peace, that part that is God moving through us. But for me, what I get out of Ernest Holmes is that you can't separate us out from God, where it's all part of the one. And I can't draw a picture here, but I often draw, so picture waves. Can you see how the waves are there? And you cut a line through there. It looks like individual waves, but you see how it's all connected to the source. And that's the visual that I use for how it is that God moves in and through each one of us and expresses. So we look individual, but we're all one, part of the same source, the same stuff, made out of the same stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah, does that help? Okay, this is, how did somebody type this? Huh? Oh, okay. I'm amazed. Okay, the complete teaching in the very ancient times was God is the all, and the all is law, and the law is the 7 Hermetic principle laws. So again, it's talking about law. We're looking at principle. We're looking at spiritual law. We're not looking at those kind of laws that humans created for how we interact with each other. Is that, huh? So these teachings go way back. And, huh?
Beyond 10,000 years.
Yes, yeah. I think a lot of these teachings have been a part of humankind, and they show up in all of the different religions in different ways. But those principles, the way that it works, if you look at the mystics, that there are mystics in every one of the traditions. The mystics are looking at and working through and having worked through them these principles. And they're the same, they just are exemplified in different ways. It's like they're wearing different clothes. They have different costumes or different language, but it's still a human, it's still spirit. It's still the same principle showing up in a different way. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Huh? Sort of, kind of? Do you get it? Yeah. So again, if you study all the different religions, I had somebody come up and ask me once, well, how can we love those Muslims that are doing this and that? And, think about history. The Christians haven't been the nicest throughout history either. And so we've got, unfortunately, humans that solve their problems through means that we hope they won't continue to do. And we keep holding up this vision and this idea of peace. But if you look at the mystics of any tradition, you will find that they are very connected to this idea of we are all one, that we are all connected, that we don't want to hurt our brother or sister, that we treat each other with respect and love and all of that. So it sort of gets shifted in how it's people get all, well, it has to be my way, instead of realizing that we're an expression of the way. Unity gave us these beautiful symbols on the wall over here, and I used to envy them when they were Reverend Terry's church. And they're all the different symbols, not all, but several of the different teachings. And we always say we support all paths to God. So we support the fact that every one of these teachings has a path that Spirit moves in their life that they can connect to. And we support all of that. We're not here to say that we've got the only way. It's a matter of getting in tune with and figuring out what is the way that Spirit wants to express in and through you. Reverend Sam from Wellspring used to be really helpful for me, because as a new minister, I'd be like, oh, but there's only 12 of them that showed up today when I spoke, and when you speak, there's 90, And he'd say, stop counting. It doesn't matter, whoever's here is who's supposed to be here. And he said, we bless people on their way. So people would show up, and you'd get used to them being there, and then they'd be gone. And he'd say, we bless them on their way. They came and got what they wanted, and they keep going on their path, and that's okay. And that for me was hard, because it was like, oh, but I want him to come back. I want him to still be here. So that's been part of my learning, to realize that we just bless people on their way, let them continue on that trajectory, whatever it is. If they found something new, they're augmenting, they're growing, bless them on their way. So that was something that I learned from Reverend Sam. What thought or idea most inspires you in this season of your life? What season might that be? Huh? Medicare, yeah, I just got Medicare in April. Yay. What does that tell you? Okay, what thought or idea most inspires you? Huh? Better insured? Actually, I was better insured before Medicare, but anyway. I think the thing that I've gotten the most from my years in New Thought is the ability to let go of having to control and do everything. Some of you are going to go, oh, really? I've had a bit of a control issue most of my life. And my parents were such that we had a calendar on the refrigerator. And you had to put on the calendar, if I wanted to go out on a date on a Friday night, it had to be there a week in advance. You know how many guys call you a week in advance and say, will you go out next Friday? That was like unheard of. Friday night, if they couldn't get anybody else, they'd call me. Well, I couldn't go because it wasn't on there a week in advance. So I had this upbringing where you had everything kind of in line. My mother was very OCD. We ate the same thing on Monday night was this, Tuesday was this, So when I left home and got out in the real world, it was quite a shock. And I had to learn that it was okay to just let go. Yesterday is a perfect example. The yard sale, when we first started doing these, I was here from the beginning to the end, and I wouldn't leave, and every day, and I was exhausted. And yesterday I needed to leave at 1. I had to just trust that everything got cleaned up and put away. Bob came down and checked it out last night and let me know they did a fabulous job. He said, those people need a standing ovation because it was all done and I didn't have to do it. That's a huge lesson for me. So as I move into hopefully the next, quarter of my, my life, just knowing that I don't have to do it all, that we're all in this together. The community building that we've been doing and really putting it back into the community has been part of that. Really practicing oneness and trusting in the oneness. And it's already noon, and look, I only got halfway through. Well, I can keep working on these. Let me see. How do we build the male presence here? Seems to be a very strong female presence. Well, y'all get out there on the street corner, okay? I think that we can put it into consciousness. You want more men here? Let's put it into consciousness. And the Sam started Wellspring by starting a men's group. I can't start a men's group. So if any of the men want to start a men's group, go for it. And see how many, speak to those needs, because that's something that, again, I am not the person to do that, but I am totally supportive. So anyone who wants to start that, let's do it. And that's what grew Wellspring. It started as a men's group. Yeah, and he was asked then to start a church by them. And that's how Wellspring got started. All right, I think I need to stop for now. I'll go through these, and I promise I'll weave them in over the next several times that I speak. Thank you very much for putting up with stumping the minister, and I'll get to as much as I can later. And so it is. And so let's just, thank you, practitioners, for your support. Thank you all for your questions and for your willingness to be here this morning and to support this time together. And so we just go within knowing that it is Spirit that moves in and through us, through everyone on this planet, through everything on this planet and beyond this planet. It is called the universe. And it is that intelligence, that life, that spirit of life that allows us to be in this moment, in this place, together as community. And so it's for that I am grateful, and I'm grateful for how we are working together as a community and how it is that we serve our larger community and the world. And so I know that this time together has been blessed, and I just open to a greater awareness and knowledge and growing and continuing to learn. And I see that spark of interest and desire to continue learning in each and every person here. As we learn, we are still proving to the universe we are alive, and we are choosing life, and we are choosing to allow it to live through us. So in gratitude, I just release this time together, knowing that it is blessed, and so it is. Thank you.
Okay, the song is called God Within Me. It's by Denise Rosier, and I just like it. I love with the heart of God within me. I sing with the voice of God within me. I rest in the peace of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I know with the mind of God within me. I pray with the faith of God within me. I trust in the power of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I am a safe and loving place, born of beauty and amazing grace. I laugh with the joy of God within me. I shine with the light of God within me. I am who I am because of God within me. Everything praises God. Everything praises God. Everything praises God within me. Everything praises God. Everything praises God. Everything praises God within me.
Thank you. Yeah, the paradox was a tough one for songs, huh?
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so I don't want to take too long. I just want to let you all know that as we consider giving back to the center right now, we still have the collection plates at the back, so you can just drop whatever offering you have there. We've been talking about passing the plate. We just got to get on board with figuring out how we're going to do that and keep you all safe and healthy. So 10% of all that comes through the center this month has been going to the Spay and Neuter Action Program, or SNAP. And so this is the last Sunday for that, and they have already sent us a thank you with this cute little card. And it says, in other words, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We at SNAP thank you for your generosity. And then each person is signed and given their own thank you. So this is a program that helps people to get their animals spayed and neutered. If they are unable to pay for it themselves, you can apply and get a voucher to do that so that we can reduce the number of unwanted animals that are in our community and keep them safe. So that's been what we've been tithing to this month. So let's say our affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, in me. And I'm going to skip us right to the end to just keep in peace. We'll know that we are singing I Am So Blessed in our hearts. And let's go ahead and sing our closing song so that we can get you out of here on time.
Yeah, okay.
You're welcome.
All right. If you'd like to stand, please do. We're going to do the peace song today.
Peace song, yay. Thank you all.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our center, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my soul and thought, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you so much. And I do believe next week is, what do we call this thing? Daylight savings.
Yeah.
We're going to fall back, so don't forget and get here at the wrong time. Have a wonderful and blessed week.